everybody, and welcome back to my channel. For card number 3 in our full card series, I wanted to share with you this really simple and easy to make Boo shaker card that features some really fun googly eyes as some shaker bits. So if you would like to see how I created this card, then keep on watching. For our card base today, I decided to use something a little different and switch it up and go for a 4x7 card base. And then I have this lime green paper, which is going to leave a 1/8 inch border of black. And then I have my card front, which is also going to leave a 1/8 inch border. For that card front, we are going to do some ink smushing. So I used black soot, Twisted Citron, and Mowed Lawn, and I'm smushing that all over the back of my little craft mat / release paper. And we're going to sprinkle some water droplets on that. I'm just using a little spray bottle, and we're going to smush that card front right into the ink. So as you can see, it leaves this really kind of disturbing sort of random pattern. It almost looks like watercolor. It is kind of watercolored. And then I just take a rag, I dab it off, I let it dry, and then I go in for a second layer of ink, and I am just using the Twisted Citron for this one, and I'm just smushing it in areas that I thought needed a little more green. And to add some more interest to the front of this card, we're going to be doing some splattering with black soot. So I take that black soot and I am just splashing those droplets everywhere, keeping the color more concentrated at the top of the panel. And then I also go in with white acrylic paint, watered down, and I am adding those droplets to the top part of the card front, making sure to keep the white droplets concentrated towards the top. And once I'm done with that, I put that aside and I let it dry, because we're going to be doing some die cutting out of these really large alphabet dies that I got from AliExpress. They are about 5 centimeters high, so they're actually pretty big. That's why I also decided to go for a bigger card base today. So we're going to be spelling out the word boo, and there's only one O in the set, so I decided to leave a little space just so I can get my spacing correct. And I run that through the die cutter twice, a second time obviously cutting out the second O, just so that it was nice and even. I try to center it as best as I could. And now we're going to be replacing those letters right back into our card panel, because we're going to be gluing those letters onto the background of the shaker card. So I found the best way to do this was to take some washi tape, fill in the letters back into the paper, and then we're going to be putting glue only on the letters. You want to make sure you don't put any glue on the little insides of the letters, like the inside of the O and the inside of the B. You only want to put your glue down on the actual letters. So keep that in mind, because we're going to be using those little insides of the letters on the top of our shaker. I don't want them on the inside. I wanted them on the top because we wanted to create as much dimension as we could with our shaker card and give it a lot of interest and a lot of fun. So after I put the glue down, I'm going to just center this panel, and I'm pressing down on the letters, the only place where I put the glue. We can also take off our washi tape now, and just secure those letters onto the back side of the panel. And then I'm going to pop out the little inside pieces of the letters, because we didn't put glue on them, so they should come out pretty easy. I used just an X-Acto knife just to kind of scoop them out. Once you scoop the inside of your letters out, you want to put them to the side, save them, and you want to put this panel to the side and let it dry. Now we're going to focus on creating the actual shaker. So I have my front panel again, and I'm taking some acetate, and I'm going to glue that acetate onto the back side of the panel. I'm using Tombow, but you can use whatever type of glue you want. I do find that Tombow sticks really well, but you want to make sure you never put too much, because once that glue seeps through onto the acetate, it's really hard to get it off the acetate. And then you want to pop this up with foam tape. I did go for a extra thick doubled foam tape. My foam tape by itself is already pretty thick. And I doubled it because we're going to be using those googly eyes. I wanted to make sure that there was a lot of space inside of my shaker so that the googly eyes can move around freely. So I cut that doubled foam tape in half as well. And then I go ahead and just stick that onto the perimeter of the entire back of the panel. Feel free to get even more fancy with it and put foam tape around each of your letters, so that you have a more localized shaker area. But I didn't mind that my inside was pretty big and that my shaker bits hid when the card was still. And then when you shake them, you get that surprise of all the like action and glitter and sparkle and fun that's on the inside. So here I have all of the bits that I'm using. I am using like this really pretty green mix. I'm using some iridescent stars, and I'm also using those googly eyes. And I also use some black sequin as well, just to give it some more contrast. I love the black against all the green. It was really pretty. And for the googly eyes, I just picked out a bunch of different sizes. I was making sure that all my bits were laying flat so that none of them would get stuck once I glued down my front panel. That's also a little trick there. Make sure that all your sequins are laying flat before you put down your front panel. You don't want your sequins to be too high stacked up on each other. And then when you go to shake it, you kind of get like a little blockage, and it like messes with the shake action. So after I put all those googly eyes face up, I go ahead and I put down my front panel. I'm going to stick down that card front and make sure that I have my 1/8 inch border and my letters line up with the cutouts, and give it a good shake to make sure that I don't have any spillage of the shaker bits. And then I'm also going to replace the inside of the letters on top of the acetate, just to add some extra dimension and layers to this card. And then once I do that, I'm going to take this whole card panel and we are going to attach it to our card base. And we're using black, as I showed you before. We're just going to use a little bit of tape runner here, and we are going to fix that onto that card base. I put a little extra tape runner just because it is a lot of card, a lot of layers, and I wanted to just make sure that that is secured down. So we glue that on, and then we're going to address the inside of the card. And I decided to heat emboss your fabulous on the inside of this card in white embossing powder. So I used a lot of my anti-static powder tool, especially when embossing white powder on black cardstock. You want to make sure you use lots of powder tool. So I go ahead and use that. I double the embossing powder. I sprinkled it on twice just to make sure that we get a nice crisp solid image. And then I go ahead and use my heating tool to set that. And once I set this, then this is also another important part, because you see all of that powder tool. So you just want to get a little rag. I'm using a dry rag. And I waited obviously until my embossing powder was cool. And then I just wiped off all of that additional powder from the black cardstock so that it looks nice and crisp. And for the last step of this card, I decided to use some enamel drops, some black enamel drops, just to give it a little more extra oomph to it. I always like to add a little something extra on the card just to make it a little more special. And we're gonna let those dry, and that is pretty much it for this card today. I really had a lot of fun making this card. It was super simple, but it's really dynamic. It's really fun. The googly eyes in the background give it that little extra spookiness to it, and I just had a lot of fun making this card. So if you would like to see more cards in the fall card series, make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you know when I post new videos, and make sure that you like, comment, and share this video. And until the next time, I will see you guys later. Bye bye.